Hey, everybody. Thank you for attending our Lunch and Learn today, where we're going to be going over midlife planning for late life success. So we are the Future Proof team, and we're here to future proof your retirement. Our purpose in creating this resource group was really focused on educating people so that they're more prepared for a successful and crisis-proof retirement and late life. We are comprised of a certified financial planner, an educator, a health insurance broker, and a senior living advisor. We also have guest speakers on estate planning, forever home planning, supplemental insurance, and tax planning. And our vision is really to bring up those questions that you wouldn't think about so that we can help prepare you before it's too late. It's definitely better to have a plan before the crisis hits. So this is the Future Proof team. We are comprised of Alicia Mack, our senior living advisor with Oasis Senior Advisors. Unfortunately, Alicia's not feeling good today, so she wasn't able to make it, but she should be at our next Lunch and Learn in a month from now. So if you're able to make it to that one, you'll get to hear Alicia present on senior living. Joy McMurtry is our certified financial educator, and she'll be heading us off today. My name is Jackie Welter. I'm a health insurance broker with Translating Insurance. And we have our guest speaker today, Mark Kramer, who's a supplemental insurance agent with Family Heritage. Joy, do you want to take over?
Well, thank you so much, Jackie. Today, we're going to talk about successfully navigating your retirement and sort of the tools that you're going to need to be able to do that. Next. So most people, when they are heading off into retirement, they do not imagine themselves driving the pink Barbie Jeep. But an amazing number of people, 33% of Americans, have no retirement savings at all. So they're depending 100% on Social Security. And this is basically the equivalent of the pink Barbie Jeep, like not really going anywhere, not going anywhere fast. With other people, though, they're a little bit more prepared. They've gotten interested in things. Something's caught their eye in the financial industry. They're excited about it. Some of these things you might have heard about, like Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies, they're a little bit flashy and new, but is it something that you can rely on no matter where you go in retirement? Now, let's look at our next vehicle here. This vehicle you can take on any road. You won't take your Corvette on this road, but your Jeep Rubicon will get you there no matter what life throws at you. And this is really what we want to have, the type of financial plan we want to have in place for your family. Okay, so let's talk about a little bit more what this means. Next. To start off with, you want a financial advisor who is asking these types of questions. Sometimes it feels like you can jump in and sort of get off on the what of products or different solutions and not take a time to build that foundation of why. What are your family's goals and dreams? Why are those important to you? And that's really where you will be able to have a good foundation to build upon the entire plan that you need. Next. So this is what my firm uses to put together sort of a financial roadmap to where people want to get. And we always start with financial education. There's actually two parts to that. First off, the consumer themselves needs to understand what they have and why they have it. But they also need that financial professional as a sort of scout leader to help guide them through these next 6 steps. And each of them is vital to make sure you've got a complete plan. Next. So what makes a good plan? Obviously, starting off, you want something that is comprehensive. And this can be challenging for people to understand because you don't know what you don't know. Are there gaps that you might not know about, but could end up hurting you in the future? Maybe you don't have long-term care coverage, but several previous family members have needed it, and you are facing a care situation in the future. This is actually the case with my in-laws, and they had no idea that long-term care can cost over $12,000 a month. They only had about 4 months of long-term care funding in their savings account when my father-in-law had a debilitating stroke last year. Because of that, their options were very limited when he needed to go into a care facility after he left the hospital. We also want a plan that's cohesive. Do all the parts of the plan work together? Many times people collect a 401k here, some stock there, maybe a rental property. How do all of these parts help you reach your goal? Can you have confidence that you will reach your goal with the pieces that you have now? We also want a plan that's diversified. And today that means a lot much more than just stocks and bonds. Instead, we're talking about different types of money. Do you think that taxes are likely to go up or down in the future? Most of us think probably up. But what happens if all of your money is in taxable accounts? Many people don't realize that PERS is all taxable money. Same for 401ks and traditional IRAs. So we want to see both taxable and non-taxable money. And you should also have both a reliable income and sort of an extra pot of money on the side for bigger expenses like a new roof or a family trip. Most importantly, both partners need to know the plan. You don't have to both be the money nerd, but I know a couple where the husband fell suddenly ill and the wife had never had to pay a bill or write a check. Her husband enjoyed doing that for her, but she had no idea what their income was or where to find their financial accounts when a crisis hit. Do both people in your household know everything about your plan, or at least where and how to access important information? Next. Another important element is the timing of implementing your plan. As you can see, several things need to be put in place long before you will ever need them. People in their 50s, they're still active. They don't think of themselves as getting older. They're still enjoying life. Why would they think they need to look at long-term care? But that is the ideal time to be looking. The most options are available to you when you are young and still in excellent health. By the time people are in their 70s, starting to think this might be something that's in their future, some of the options are not even available anymore because of your age. To give a good example of this, actually, my husband's grandmother, who's in her 90s now, she bought a long-term care policy when she was in her 50s, and she didn't use it until she was 92. But for her, she felt it was an excellent investment because it was there and covered her needs when she needed it. Lastly, we should talk about estate planning. This is a piece that everyone needs, yet surprisingly, over half of US adults don't have a will, and they're really setting their families up for some headaches and potentially even additional crises by not having a plan in place. Next, these are the 4 documents that pretty much everyone will need to have a complete estate plan. You're going to need some kind of a will or a trust. And then you'll also need a financial power of attorney and an advanced health care directive. Both of those documents are used before you die and are important to have in place while you are still alive, as early as age 18. You're also going to need a HIPAA release form for your advanced health care to go along with your advanced health care directive. If you have pets, a pet trust might also be important, so you can leave instructions and money for the person you want to care for your pets after you're gone. Next, there are several benefits to working with me and my team. It's free to meet with us, and we will never charge you for advice. We want to make sure that top-level financial strategies are accessible to everyday people. You also get the benefit of a large team of specialists. We have experts in life insurance, retirement, estate planning, investments, and college planning on our team to help each family build their customized plan. Now I'll pass it off to you, Jackie.
Thanks, Joy. That was such great wisdom that you're sharing with people about really things that they need to be thinking about and the timing of it, when to start thinking about these things. Because like you said, if you wait too long and something happens with your health, or you're too old to get the policy, you're going to be left in a crisis, which is what we're trying to avoid. And my role in all of this as a health insurance broker is really to help come up with health insurance solutions both before and after retirement. Now, it really depends what situation you're in. Are you retiring before you're 65 and eligible for Medicare? Are you retiring, after you're 65 and you're already eligible? Or perhaps you own your own business and you just need help finding solutions for health insurance. I can help in all of those categories. So, ultimately, the question is, would you rather try to figure out the confusing topic of insurance on your own? Or would it be helpful to have a translator or a guide to help you understand the confusing language of insurance, all the nuances of insurance that, you wouldn't be able to find on your own without extensive research, and potentially could stumble across the wrong answers if you're just Googling it. So a few questions that I can, propose that you may not know the answers to are: what is Medicare? A lot of people don't even try to research what Medicare is until they're 64 and a half. Then they get into a panic, then they're feeling overwhelmed and confused, and there's so much information out there. And unfortunately, the program is very confusing. So, do you have to enroll in Medicare? There's, a certain enrollment window that you have when you first become eligible for Medicare. And if you miss that enrollment window, what are your other enrollment opportunities? How long do you have to wait to get coverage if you miss that window? So those are really important things to understand. What if you decide that you want to work past the age of 65? This happens more often now that, we've got medicine that can keep us healthier longer, and people find joy in working and doing what that they're doing. Some people want to postpone retirement, which is totally okay, but you need to know whether you need to sign up for Medicare prior to retirement or if you can delay enrollment. And then on the flip side, what if you're ready to retire early? What if you want to be done at 52 or 55, but you still have that time left before you become eligible for Medicare? What are your options? What are they going to cost? These are things that you want to plan ahead of time so you can fit these costs into your budget. Working with your financial planner and a health insurance broker to estimate costs for, health insurance expenses, what's your max out of pocket liability, the things that you should have in your retirement buckets. So I am offering as myself as a free guide, or if you know a health insurance broker that can help you, to just be a free guide to get you the answers to these questions. Some other ones that I run across a lot: what does Medicare cost? Some people think that Medicare is free, that they've paid into the system for 40 years through their payroll taxes, and now it's just all going to be free and everything's going to be covered. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Medicare Part A can be free if you've paid into the system for 10 years, but Medicare Part B has a premium, and it's a sliding scale premium. So the more you make, the more you pay. So unfortunately, there is a cost to Medicare on a monthly basis once you become eligible and you enroll. What does it cover? Does it cover everything? Is it going to let you go to your chiropractor? Does it cover dental? Does it cover acupuncture or vision? Well, it depends on what options that you choose for your Medicare coverage. And Medicare doesn't cover long-term care. This is a common misconception among Medicare beneficiaries, thinking that skilled nursing, which is covered for only 100 days by Medicare, will extend into long-term care. Like if they end up in an assisted living facility after a hospital stay, that doesn't mean that it's going to cover you forever in that facility. So you need to have a plan for long-term care. Another thing that people don't know is original Medicare doesn't have a max out of pocket. So it's really important to speak with a broker. Again, it's free to get advice, to find something that's going to limit your financial liability when you're on Medicare. Being misinformed about Medicare can be a costly mistake. Some other questions I get really often: what if I want to work past age 65? I think that's great, but you need to know if you need to enroll in Medicare when you first become eligible. And is Medicare going to be your primary coverage, or will your group plan be primary? What if you have ACA before you go on to Medicare? What if you're self-employed, you're buying your own health insurance through the marketplace and you're getting tax credits, so those premiums are super low? Can't you just keep that instead of switching over to Medicare, which might be more expensive? You need to know the answer to that. Another question, can I delay enrollment in Medicare until I lose my group plan? It depends on the size of the group. And finally, I have access to a retiree plan. So maybe I'll just skip Medicare altogether, do the retiree plan, and just go with that. That's a good option. But what happens 10 years from now when you want to get back on Medicare? Are you going to face late enrollment penalties? Will you even be able to afford the premiums once you want to transition over? What if that retiree plan goes up in price and doesn't cover your doctors anymore? The network changed, and all of a sudden, you're not in a good place. So it's really important to know your options before you make any permanent decisions, and also understand the enrollment windows available. And then lastly, retiring before you're eligible for Medicare is going to put you in a position where you're going to want coverage, right, before you get to 65 in transition. And there's plans out there that do cover pre-existing conditions and give you a max out of pocket. But there's also alternative plans available that are cheaper, and they look, like they're nicer plans, like cheaper plans, but do they cover pre-existing conditions? And do they give you a max out of pocket? And the last question I get pretty often is, what about COBRA? COBRA is a continuation of your group benefits. So it's the same coverage that you had while you were an employee, but it goes longer after your employment ends. You can keep that plan for up to 18 months. However, COBRA does not play nice with Medicare. So if you're eligible for Medicare, when you become eligible for COBRA, you definitely want to transition to Medicare within your enrollment window. If you're under 65 and you're eligible for COBRA, that could be a viable option, and you'll want to compare it to what you can get through other insurance options available. So I don't want any of you to be overwhelmed. I know this topic can be very confusing, and some of the language that they use is like, you don't even know what the words mean. What's the deductible? What's your, all that stuff. So my help is free, so you don't have to be overwhelmed. My contact information is here. It'll also be in the resource packet, and I'm going to pass the torch over to Mark.
Thank you, Jackie. Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Kramer. I am with Family Heritage Northwest. We are a supplemental insurance agency. And what I'd like to ask you guys, go ahead and hit the next slide there, Jackie, is what type of a road would you like to travel as you're going towards your retirement? Think about this in terms of all those potholes. If you're driving that little pink Barbie car that Joey talked about, you could end up in the bottom of one of those potholes upside down. So that may not be the road that you want to take. Or maybe you might want to take this road here. This is a road where it's nice and straight, warm day, got the top down, air going through your hair, sun's out. It's a beautiful road, no problems, right? That's where you drive that little convertible. But next, what you want is you want to have that Jeep Rubicon built as you're going towards retirement. And that's really what this building block is all about. When you look at getting to your retirement, there's different steps that you got to take along the way. Now, my role in all of this, next, Jackie, is looking at the insurance piece of this. And I've spent the last 25 years in the insurance industry, and I've done everything from homes and autos to business and commercial insurance. And I work with supplemental insurance because it's one of those areas that I really love. Now, when we talk about this, we're talking about life insurance and health insurance and supplemental. These are the things that really insure your person. And oftentimes the supplemental insurance is the one that gets overlooked. Next. And what I mean by that is, your life insurance is designed to protect your family's income as there's a loss of life with one of the family members. You want to make sure that the current obligations are taken care of so nobody has to worry about those, and that get the goals for the future taken care of. If you wanted your kids to go to college and you're not working anymore, maybe they're not going to be able to go. So we want to make sure we're protecting that. And Jackie, you protect people financially when they need medical care. I talk about health insurance, and when you look at health insurance before you retire, it might be group plans or individual plans or private pay, and you talked quite a bit about what happens afterwards with the Medicare. But the supplemental insurance is oftentimes the third leg of this stool. And if you don't have that leg on the stool, some things can happen. So next. I often like to think about that mirror on the right-hand side of your car that says objects in the mirror are closer than they appear. Well, the reality is, folks, with your retirement plan, financial ruin can be much closer than it appears as well. So we want to watch out for the potholes in our life as we're building towards retirement. Next. And what some of those potholes can be are severe illness or accidents or injuries, things like cancer, heart attack, stroke, accidents and injuries. In the area of cancer, Joy alluded to the fact that most people don't have much ready for retirement. Well, the reality is a cancer diagnosis can derail that very quickly. 42% of all families that get a diagnosis of cancer end up losing their entire life savings within 2 years. Heart attack and stroke, every 40 seconds in the United States, somebody has either a heart attack or stroke. And then accidents and injuries can be very severe, but the average cost of an accident is about $7,000 per family. So I don't know a lot of people that have that kind of money for all these things laying around the house, right? Next. So what I do is I talk about and I work with supplemental insurance. And up on the top there, you see the word cancer, but you can substitute the word heart attack or stroke or accident or injury for that. And really, all of these things have two different kinds of costs. The first kind of cost is what's considered a direct cost of that illness. And in order to get care, your health insurance is going to pay the doctors and clinics and the medical charges, the hospital expenses. But it doesn't take care of what are called indirect costs. Next. Indirect costs are those things that are out-of-pocket expenses, things that you might not even think about. If you can't go to work, you may end up not being able to pay your bills. You got to dive into your savings to pay those bills. You still have to pay for everyday life, no matter whether you're sick or not. And then if you do have health insurance, lots of times there's high deductibles, high copays, things that aren't covered, other out-of-pocket expenses like travel or childcare. All of these things add up to some financial burdens that you may not be able to overcome and get to your retirement down the road. Lots of times we see your income either stays the same if you're lucky or goes down, but almost every single time your expenses go up. And most people don't realize this until after it's too late. Next. So what do supplemental plans do and how do they work and what kind are there? So there's basically there's three types of supplemental plans out there on the marketplace. There's the lump sum plan, which basically it's very simple. You say, I want to get a heart attack or stroke plan, and I want $10,000 if it ever happens. So there's a certain amount of money that you pay for in premium so that if it's there if you need it. Lots of times those are limited in terms of how much you can get as well. Many people think, well, I've got a great life insurance policy or I've got great health insurance. I'm okay. I don't need anything. But they don't realize that maybe they don't have a rider on that life insurance policy that would pay for some of these things. Many life insurance policies do have accelerated death benefits that you can access some of the money as you go through this for chronic illness or terminal illnesses. But it's oftentimes limited to how much of the total value of the life insurance policy that you can actually access. And that may not be enough for you. And then there's also treatment-based plans where as you go through certain kinds of treatments, the contract says they're going to give you a certain amount of money based on the level of coverage. Those types of plans tend to have a little bit more flexibility, oftentimes have higher limits, and in some cases don't have any limits on total benefits you can get. And the other thing, just like Joyce said with insurance, the best time to do it is early on because it's going to be cheaper. Next, those treatment-based plans, like I said, if you end up getting a diagnosis, there's an amount of money. If you end up in a hospital every day that you're there, there's a certain amount of money based on the level that you chose. All of these plans are pretty simple to understand, and most of them are very affordable. But this, again, is one of those areas that sometimes gets missed in the whole financial process moving towards, because people think it's not going to happen to me. The reality is it is going to happen to you. So next, if you'd like more information and you'd like to find out how to avoid some of these potholes, I'd be more than happy to share with you a little more information about how they work. So here's my contact information. Feel free to reach out to me, and we'll just have a consultation and just chat a little bit about it. And hopefully you'll be driving that convertible right towards retirement. Thanks, folks.
I think you're muted.
Here we go. Unmuted. Thank you so much, Mark. It's always great to get some of those additional pieces of information to fill those last little pieces of the puzzle. And this is really what we're talking about when we talk about putting together your support team. It's always a great idea to have at least talked to someone ahead of time, or sort of have their name in your back pocket before the crisis hits. You never know when you might need someone on this list. And it's always great to have already done that research of who you want to work with before you're trying to figure it out in the middle of a crisis. And so here's some of the people who you might need. A good financial advisor. That's something that me and my team do, but you might already have a great one that you work with right now. A tax advisor is another important one. A lot of people don't know that estate taxes in the state of Oregon, where we are, is at $1 million. And it's not that hard to get above that. What are the things that this person could talk to? And we're actually looking for an estate tax advisor to join our team if you know of one who would like to be a guest speaker. A health insurance advisor, someone who you're going to need before and after you retire. The cost of health care is so high, it is almost impossible for someone to just private pay the entire thing. So someone like Jackie here can help you navigate that. And again, she is free to work with. That's something that is really important to us when we're putting people together on this list of people who we like working with, is that they always have a free option to work with them. Same with legal counsel. There are many times where you might need the help of a lawyer to navigate something beyond just putting together an estate plan. Medicaid is a huge factor, and you will often need a lawyer involved if a Medicaid is in your future. And we'll have a guest speaker on next month who will be giving us some advice on the legal end of things. Long-term care and senior living advisor. This is what Alicia Mack does for our group, and she is a fantastic resource with her and Oasis Senior Advisors. Everything that you might need, from daycare to full nursing care, is part of their wheelhouse. And you'll look forward to hearing from her next month as well when she joins us again. The last piece of the puzzle was actually our guest speaker last month, senior real estate specialist Donna Austin. She can help people both sell their house if they need to go into care and find their last house if they want to be able to age in place. She is an excellent resource as well. So I'll send it back to you, Jackie.
Thanks, Joy. I know that resource team is so important. And I love the point that you made about getting together this resource group before the crisis hits so that you're fully prepared for, that crisis, because it's going to happen, right? Like, all of us are going to have bumps in the road and they're unavoidable, but having a team that can help you walk through it at no cost really is a really awesome thing to have. So that's our goal here. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to share this information with you. We will be providing a resource packet to those of you who registered, so we can email that out to you using your email. And then if you didn't register with your email, you can always join our Facebook group, which is the Future Proof Your Retirement, or follow us on Instagram. So we post on there some content to just help guide you. And if you have any questions, you can always email us at info@futureproofyourretirement.com. And that's the end of our presentation today. We're probably going to close out the recording so we can switch over to Q&A and respect everybody's privacy for those who registered. But if you have any questions, again, reach out to us. We're happy to help.
Thanks so much, Jackie.